Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I'm Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Today, we are going over VR's most valuable players, the games that were absolute trendsetters and everyone needs to experience. And on top of that, we also have VR's most improved players, which are games that are now significantly better than when they originally launched. So these are some different lists than we're used to, and I really hope you guys enjoy them, so let me know down in the comments. If you have a great idea for a VR related list, I would love to know what it is. Now there are of course links and timestamps to everything I'll be discussing, but before we jump in, this video is brought to you by Wands Alliances. Wands Alliances features highly competitive 3v3 online action. If you're sick of traditional shooters or prefer something that focuses more on teamwork and strategy, you'll want to look into this game. There's 3 distinct classes to master, a large array of unlockable spells, and highly competitive gameplay that's easy to learn but tough to master. If you're looking for additional information, there are links down in the description. Okay, so let's start off with the most improved players, and first up is BlastOn. BlastOn is a truly unique 1v1 shooter. Not only will you be dodging enemy projectiles, but you'll also have to build up your personal arsenal of randomly spawning weapons that will need to be strategically utilized. Now at launch, this was already an exciting title, but since then they've added an array of new weapons, weapon modifiers, new gameplay modes, a championship system, new maps, new skins, and even a player hangout. Resolution Games is positioning BlastOn as an esport, and over a year after release, the game's price tag was actually raised $10 to represent how much new content had been added. So if you crave some 1v1 competition, this is the game for you. Now next up is another title from Resolution Games, and that is Demeo. Demeo is VR's #1 tabletop RPG that does an amazing job of capturing that play around the table feel. I instantly fell in love with this game, but my only complaint at launch was the lack of overall content. Now since launch, we've received 3 new adventure packs, a social hub called the Heroes Hangout, a miniature painting system, 2 new playable characters, a flat screen PC release, and there's more on the way, including a PvP mode. It's unbelievable how 2 hours in this game can just fly by, and I recommend it to anyone interested in tabletop RPGs. Now our next title has actually received 5 years of continual updates. The retro-themed roguelite shooter Compound spent an extremely long time in early access, but during that time period they continued to listen to user feedback and made some significant overhauls and upgrades to this title. They added a large array of weapons and enemies, overhauled performance, introduced dual wielding and mutators, numerous balance updates, leaderboards, speedrun modes, and even multiple story endings. If you only played an early demo of this game, you really need to revisit it and see it now. The full version 1.0 was released back in July. It still has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, and the developer is continuing his support. And even more good news is Quest 2 owners will have access to this title in the near future. Now while we're talking about years of updates, we have to mention Rec Room. This minigame filled social app has come an extremely long way. Now when it came to early VR online titles, most of them were not populated. Rec Room on the other hand has always had a high player base, and it has significantly grown in the past years. Now this is due in part to its expansion on other platforms including flat screen, but that did not stop the developers from adding constant updates. Now yes, there have been countless cosmetic updates, but what really carries the title is the amazing gameplay modes they have added. There's numerous quests to play, a battle royale mode, and even the new driving Wreck Rally. Many of the game's systems have been overhauled in the past few years, and now there is also an insane amount of user-generated content. Now I know this title might appear to be too kid-friendly, but I do recommend that everyone jumps in and tries it at least once. Now another title that has been aggressively pushing out new content is Population 1. VR's undisputed battle royale title has seen season passes, multiple new gameplay modes, major additions to the map, new weapons, and plenty of unlockable cosmetics. On top of that, they constantly have special events, which might be seasonal in nature or just help promote some new gameplay features. There is a reason why Population 1 has continued to hold on to its community, where so many other VR shooters or battle royale titles have failed. And now Big Box VR is actually dropping Quest 1 support because they want to push this game much further than the Quest 1 hardware can actually support. So I'm definitely looking forward to see their new updates. And speaking of updates I'm looking forward to, I can't wait to see what After the Fall has coming. This 4-person co-op zombie shooter set in a post-apocalyptic frozen wasteland features an absolutely fantastic gameplay loop. Now at launch I enjoyed the title, but said it would only survive if they continue to push out new content. Well, lucky for us they have, and a good portion of the community is still sticking around. Overall, they've helped balance this game, iron out some bugs and exploits, add character customization, new weapons, but even more importantly, new levels and gameplay modes. Now, I'm really hoping they'll introduce some more story content because that's a hook that'll get many players to come back, and it's more my style compared to the typical cosmetic grind. So what used to only be around 2.5 hours of overall content is now significantly longer, and with more reason to replay content. Okay, so the last game on our most improved player list represents the true definition of the title. Rather than just adding content, this game has significantly improved. Now, the title I'm talking about is Into the Radius. An early build had me ready to completely brush this game off. It was janky, performance was sketchy even on high-end hardware, and I wasn't sold on the overall direction. Now, over 3 years since the original beta release, it has become a one-of-a-kind VR title. It features realistic weapons and gun handling, extremely creepy environments, and it can be absolutely unforgiving. Now, version 2.0 that released back in November is when this game truly elevated itself. And this was also represented in the Steam reviews, as they went from mostly positive to overwhelmingly positive. So clearly this game was a labor of love, and it paid off. Now, it will also be available on the Quest 2 starting in September. There's an ongoing closed beta, and I can say that they did a great job porting this title. Now, I'm sure I might have missed some most improved players, so if you have one in mind, please let me know down in the comments. But for now, let's move on to the MVPs, the titles that did something truly special in the VR space. Now, the first two titles I have already mentioned in the most improved player category, so I won't spend too much time on them, but that includes Demeo and Rec Room. Demeo was the first game to prove that tabletop gaming in VR can be absolutely amazing. It captures the social essence, the excitement of rolling dice, and that ability to grow or shrink yourself down right onto the board is an amazing feature that you can only do in VR. Now, Rec Room scores some major points for being VR's first and arguably best free-to-play title. In this regard, they are absolute trendsetters, and the game has been capable of pulling in people from all ages and multiple platforms. While there are multiple other successful social apps out there, there's nothing exactly like Rec Room. Okay, so our next MVP is Red Matter. This game makes the list by showing us how far we can push the graphics on the Quest platform. Now, even in their original game, they were using a modified version of the Unreal Engine, and they were able to implement items such as ray-traced reflections, realistic glass, fog, and sun reflections, and a slew of other bells and whistles. Now, they didn't stop on Red Matter 1, as the upcoming Red Matter 2 also utilizes a heavily modified version of the Unreal Engine, and they are bringing some truly high-quality new features to the Quest. Now, I don't know if it's actually feasible, but I would love to see some of these technological improvements featured in other games. Now, speaking of technological achievements, we have to mention Zenith. VR's only true MMO allows you to pack an insane number of players on the screen at once, even on a Quest 1 headset. Now, if you're ready to call me out, yes, personally, I was not a big fan of this game. Regardless though, you cannot deny the fact that this was a huge technological achievement. Desync issues can be absolutely horrendous in an MMO, which is only amplified in VR. But somehow they managed to get this working and created a title that has become a dream for certain players. Now, in the future, if they drop Quest 1 support and PlayStation VR support and move on to PlayStation VR 2 and Quest 2, then they might be able to build something even more amazing. But on the topic of building something amazing, we have No Man's Sky. This giant spacefaring survival title proves that you can take a highly complex and robust title and port it into VR with excellent motion controls. This is one of the most robust titles VR has to offer, and it includes everything from scavenging, base building, interplanetary exploration, space dogfights, and mech piloting, all wrapped up in some story-driven content. On top of that, it's also multiplayer and continuously getting new updates. So No Man's Sky is proof that a VR title can be feature-rich and robust. Now, our next MVP is Beat Saber, and this title proves that a game just needs to be fun. AAA doesn't necessarily mean success, and Beat Saber is a prime example. Challenging, addictive, and high-quality mechanics is all we really need. Just like the old-school games Rock Band and Guitar Hero, bringing something unique to the table can be an absolute game changer. But we do like our traditional shooters, and that's why Resident Evil 4 has made it on this list. Resident Evil 4 is proof that classic titles can find a home on mobile VR. Doom 3 was another great example, but Resident Evil 4 really takes it up a notch, and they were able to find some great ways to implement cutscenes and even make them interactive with motion controls. The average Quest gamer is quite young, so there's plenty of 15-year-old titles that would be brand new for them. So Resident Evil 4 proves this is a great avenue to explore, and I'm really excited to see how San Andreas is on the Quest. But we have to talk about a title that went all in natively for VR, and that's Asgard's Wrath. While No Man's Sky has plenty of content, it is after all a port and does have some rough edges. Asgard's Wrath, on the other hand, being built from the bottom up for VR, has none of those issues and also offers up over 40 hours of single player content. On top of that, it also excels at storytelling in VR. It constantly uses perspective to its advantage, allowing you to pop in and out of a god mode, which works perfectly with the theme of this title. For years, VR has been lacking RPGs, but Asgard's Wrath is proof that that genre can be absolutely amazing in this medium. It also happens to be stunningly beautiful, with only one game that one-ups it, and that is Half-Life Alyx. Half-Life Alyx is the shining example of what VR can truly do. It is our one and only AAA title. It has graphics that'll rival many flat-screen games, runs surprisingly well on lower-end hardware, features a 7+ hour campaign with truly memorable moments, and physics that help up the immersion. There is something I like to call the Half-Life Alyx effect, which means no VR game will truly ever feel the same after you've played this. It's a complete double-edged sword. It's wow, this is absolutely amazing. Nothing really feels as good as Half-Life Alyx. Unless, of course, we're talking about Boneworks, which has all the feels. What Boneworks was able to pull off with their physics and combat is truly special to VR. VR is all about immersion, and super slick physics and combat just sell it better than anything else. I mean, it's like diving into the Matrix. It just feels real. Now, some other games like Blade and Sorcery have come close, but there is just something truly special about Boneworks. Okay, everybody, that was my list of MVPs and MIPs. If I missed a game that you think made a significant contribution to the VR space or has improved significantly since launch, please let me know what it is down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Okay, everybody, I will see you on next time.